Hello everyone and welcome to episode 17 of Suplexes and Microphones. I'm Joe, this is Nate, and sitting between us is the big man, Big Country, current PCW heavyweight champion.
Yes, sir.
All right, Nate, kick us off.
Yeah, looking forward to hanging out with you. We tried to do this a few months ago and we were late, you were late. I think it was a bad day of getting to the venue, but we're all here on time early today and going to get it in. So tell a little bit about how you, at what point did you, as a fan, fall in love with wrestling and said, hey, this is something I want to do one day?
Well, it was a Saturday morning, and I was sitting on the couch with my dad. He was working on his computer. My dad worked 23-hour days, and he was like, here, find something on TV. So I started flipping around, and I came across WCW. Came on Saturday mornings over there in Arizona. It was Dirty Dick Slater versus the Natural Dustin Rhodes. I had never seen wrestling before. I was 7 years old, I was mesmerized by it. The showmanship, the athleticism, the drama, the storytelling, the psychology. I mean, especially back in the day, that's when it was key. And I saw it, I loved it. And for about a year, I didn't even know about WWF. I knew about WCW, so every Saturday I was there, boom, watching it. And then I found, the day my dad hated was found out about WWE, found about their magazines, their websites, all their merch and stuff. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want anything else for my birthdays. I didn't want anything else for Christmas. I wanted a magazine subscription to WWF's magazine. And any amount of merch and merchandise or toys or everything I can get my hands on.
That's funny. Now, I grew up watching the NWA, WCW, stuff like that. The first time I actually saw a super heavyweight was in the AWA. There was a guy named Jerry Crusher Blackwell, the Mountain from Stone Mountain.
Yes, sir.
And that's somebody you listed as one of your influences. So, so if you don't mind me asking, how much do you weigh?
Well, I was over the 500 mark. I was actually at 525. Now I am closer to 480.
Okay, great. So Blackwell, I looked up his stats just on Wikipedia. Jerry Blackwell was 5'9", 474, but you're a good bit taller than that. You're about
I'm 6'4".
6'4", okay. Yeah, so he's another big guy too. So so let's talk about how he came up with the Big Country name.
I'll tell you, if I could go back 12 years, you would not be sitting here with Big Country. You would be sitting here with somebody completely different. When I first started, right after it was actually before I was even supposed to be released from training, we had a cancellation one night, and the guy's like, here, put on these boots, put on this tape on your wrist, and you're going to wrestle in the opening match. He said the match is going to go about 13 seconds. He said, we got to call you something though. And of course, as a kid you come up with 1,000 different names, but of course when you get older you realize that most of them are just weird. And he's like, well, it was in Chester, South Carolina, so he's like, well, we're kind of out here in the country and you're a really big guy, so Big Country. And I hated him for it because if anybody knows in the independent scene, there's about 250,000 Big Countries, and I always get mistaken for every single one of them.
Yeah, we were talking about
that a little bit today, yeah.
And I've tried to change gimmicks. I've tried to change my name, but Big Country's always stuck. Everybody keeps calling me that. So, you know what? I just embrace it. I just try to be different than all the other guys, and I actually find it amusing when somebody tags me in something because they believe I'm the guy that they're talking about. Like, I'm a Trash Bag Wrestlers alumni. Every single Facebook page that they make to make fun of guys like me in wrestling, I'm usually within the first couple months I end up on there and people tag me in it. People get mad about it, but I think it's hilarious, because like in show business, all exposure is good exposure. So.
True. So let's talk about you mentioned character a little bit. So when I first heard the name Big Country, and I saw you walk out, you had kind of the mask on, like a skeleton, the Punisher kind of a thing. I didn't really think it fit like a Big Country. I kind of wondered, country, how'd you come up with that? But then I saw an old picture and you had like a camouflage hat on, and that was a little more like like a Big Country character. So talk about those two characters and kind of how to they morph? I
Well,
guess?
there's more than two. When I first got called Big Country, I went online and I looked up some other guys that were called Big Country, and it was overalls, camouflage, rebel flags, the work. So I figured, heck, if it's working for them. So my first gear, I had pleather shorts with rebel flags on the side, a custom-made rebel flag shirt. I bought a rebel flag, the mask that the bikers wear when they ride. I bought one of those, and then I even got rebel flag gloves. I took a kendo stick, attached rebel flag. I was
All in.
I don't even want to think about that, but then I realized that whatever people's belief on the rebel flag or anything like that, the misconceptions, whatever you feel, it's always going to be seen as a sign of racism and bad stuff. So I found that out when I was booked at a high school, and come to find out I was the champion of New Millennium Championship Wrestling in Kings Mountain. They put me on the flyer, and the principal was ripping down the flyers. Now, sorry about that. Unprofessional. And anybody promoter-wise knows that, you spend a good amount of money on, promo material, flyers, stuff like that. So the principal was ripping them all down, and I almost got them booked from the card because of it. Wow. So I actually showed up, turned my shirt inside out, put electrical tape over my rebel flags on my shorts, and kept the gloves off, kept the mask off, and wrestled. Everybody sees country, they think, backwoods, redneck, camouflage, bow hunting and stuff like that.
Kind of, yeah.
I see country as, I feel that I actually came up with a little moniker. I call myself the Johnny Cash of big countries. I dress in a lot of black, and I'm very violent, and I beat up people. So I don't feel that I need to be stereotyped with, just being country is one way. I think that you can have a broad, horizon of, what you think country is and make it your own.
Okay. So how'd you kind of go into the Southern Punisher character?
Mine and my dad's favorite comic book character was always the Punisher. And actually the shirt I wore before the one I wear now, where it's actually got the Punisher on it and then the skull on the side, was one of the last things my dad bought me before he died. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I may catch slack from people because, oh, you're wearing a t-shirt, but, I feel, if I'm entertaining people, I really don't care what I'm wearing. Mm-hmm. When I go out there and, I look across the ring from somebody, and all I can think about is, inflicting pain on them that I've experienced in my life, putting them through punishment. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we're in the South. Mm-hmm. So, put one and one together, Southern Punisher. Everybody's like, oh, what about, the Southern Savior? It's like, well, he saves, I punish. Two totally different things. And it just kind of stuck, and people like it, I like it, so, anybody that has a problem with it, I don't care.
Easy enough. So, usually in the independents, as far as my experience anyway, most people kind of stick with a heel character gimmick or more a face kind of gimmick. I've seen you kind of go back and forth between heel and face.
Well, I like to be a valuable asset to companies. If you need me to come out there and make all the kids, make their dreams come true and make them scream and yell and, holler and be happy, I can do that. If you need me to go out there and scare the crap out of them, which you guys have seen, I've had kids crawling underneath their seats and their parents find it hilarious. Yeah. I'm just happy they haven't sent me their, doctor bills for therapy and everything. But I believe that if you kind of saddle yourself into one thing, then you might get overlooked. Mm-hmm. Hey, we need a good baby face. Oh, but all he does is do heel, so let's go to somebody else. You make yourself important. I mean, not important, but you make yourself, easily available to people. You get more bookings. Plus, I feel that it's a lot more challenging to be, ambidextrous like that instead of, anybody can go out there. You can piss people off. I mean, it's really not that hard. You go up to some chick and tell her that she's fat, of course she's going to get pissed off. You go out there and say to the guy that, the girl that he's with is his sister, of course you're going to piss them, well, probably because it most of the time is. But, always have an open mind about everything, oh, I want to be cheered. No, sometimes you don't want to be cheered. You might have a bad day and you might want to go out there and make everybody feel as bad as you do. you know. But if you're a baby face and you're in a pissed off mood, it's a lot harder to be, you know, Mr. Good Guy, yay, rah, rah, you know. So keep an open mind and, you know, be able to do both.
Well, you do both well. I see kids drawn to you when you're kind of the face gimmick, and I've seen, like I say, kids just kind of cower away from you, and when you kind of, you know, scare them. You're a big, intimidating guy, so you do both well.
Nate, on that topic, I remember when we were at a PCW show and you had just done a face turn, and I don't know if it was midway through the match or what. He looked at me and said, "Man, this guy makes a great face," because we hadn't seen you in that.
Oh yeah, when I turned on when Darkness and
yeah.
James
And I think I remember, and the cool thing about it, and this can work both ways, was I believe you came out and you're like, yeah, I am a jerk, yeah, I am this, but I've always been honest about that.
Yeah, I mean,
and so people can appreciate that honesty. Okay, well, he admits he's cheated before, he's a jerk or whatever. Then, okay, now we can cheer this guy because he's admitting that, and he's now taking on the real heels, which were at the time the Darkness and maybe Flame Wolf, James
This Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
well, you know, not everybody's perfect, and everybody has, you know, something. No matter how little white it is, you know, people have lied, people have cheated. You know, I mean, even if you were a kid, hide and go seek, you peeked, you cheated. It doesn't matter. People can relate to that. You know, they understand. I was put in a position where, you know, I felt that I needed to be a jerk, a douchebag, and when I need to be that, I overachieve at it. But I can also make you, you know, want to cheer me, and you know, that's like I said, that's all part of, you know, keeping an open mind and being able to do more than one thing and not settling yourself down with one type of gimmick.
Yeah. So speaking of Art Long, I've seen you here with two different managers, Art Long and also Jack Bismarck, both as your heel. Do you prefer having a heel? Just prefer having a manager period when you're working that heel role?
Well, you know, being the size that I am, you remember back in the day, most of the guys my size, King Kong Bunny and stuff like that, Vader and all them, they always had a mouthpiece.
Sure.
You always need a mouthpiece. Face managers, I really don't like that. If you have a valet and you just need it to get attention, that's one thing. But you know, it's good to have a manager, but you need to have the right one. Darkness had something special. You know, he had a different gimmick that you didn't really see that much. And he knew how to talk. He didn't mind taking a butt whooping for you. And genuinely, he's been one of my best friends since I got into wrestling. And you know, there's a big difference between him and Jack Bismarck. The way Darkness is a manager and the way Bismarck is a manager. Bismarck, though, I am so proud of that guy. He wanted to be a professional wrestler. Medical issues kept him from being able to achieve that, but that didn't stop him. Most guys would have been like, can't wrestle, I'm done. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be a part of this business so much that he did whatever he had to do, and he found that he has a gift, and that gift is, you know, being one of the top heel managers in wrestling right now, not just in Carolinas. I mean, the guy can talk, the guy can work, he does his job well, and I'm proud to have him as a manager. I mean, you know.
You got results from it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I tried doing the good guy thing, and then, you know, I hate to say it, you know, get well Shay, you know, Shay McGrady had surgery on his ankle. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I thought it was time. You have a guy that weighs less than a cruiserweight title, calling himself the heavyweight champ. I had to step in and do something about it. You know, the heavyweight belt needs to be put on a heavyweight, but like I said, get well Shay.
So we're talking about Jack Bismarck. I'm a big music fan. I really enjoy music, and I looked at your song. It's called "Good Man" by Devour the Day. I know you switched to that when you started joining Kevin Ray and Jack Bismarck. There's a line that song and the lyric that's really stuck out to me. It says, "Is there any good left in me?" What made you choose that song?
Because there's always conflict, you know, inside people. You know, some days you wake up and you just want to be the biggest, you know, biggest douchebag on earth, and you know, but you have to fight it, and you have to be, you know, you got to go to your job, and you got to be nice to people, because if you don't, then you get fired. So that song, you know, it's the conflict that people have inside them every day of, I want to be bad, but I have to be good. I have to be good, but I want to be bad, you know. So I thought it was perfect. You know, the song I had before that was Abominations by Twisted, and it was because, you know, the group that we were in, we were those guys that are like, people look at them and are like, you know, these guys are weird, and, you know, I'm misshapen, and James is in long hair and his leather jacket, and of course Father Darkness, you know. We were basically what, you know, in the wrestling business, we were abominations, so, you know, I thought it fit perfectly, and, you know, I figured with the change, you know, the regime that me and Kevin Ray and Classless Mason Miles and Jack Bismarck have is more of a classier style, you know, no offense, Mason, but, you know, we hold ourselves differently and we act differently, so, you know, you got to change with the time.
Earlier this year, PWX out of Charlotte, North Carolina had an event called Battlefield X that was on February the 18th. They had a Fans Choice 4-way qualifying match to be a part of the 30-man Rumble later on that evening. So you got voted by the fans to be part of this. Tell us about that experience for you, just the whole process of getting your name in there and the votes and getting those votes up and realizing that you were chosen.
Well, for the longest time, I had so many people come to me and be like, why haven't we seen you in PWX? Why haven't we seen you in PWX? I did work, before Brian took over, I worked one show for PWX, and but that was, you know, that was under different times. Brian took over. I actually, one of my good friends knew Brian from being, you know, car salesmen and everything. And I met up with Brian. I actually did security a lot of times for PWX, and you know, Ed Zahn, which I got to give a big shout out to him, because there's been a few times where I doubted myself so much that I almost hung it up, and Ed would talk to me and talk me out of it and assure me that, you know, I had more to offer this business and that, you know, people will see it. I just have to make them. And Ed called me and said, I got to ask you a question. I said, yeah. He said, would you like your name to be entered in the poll for the fan favorite for the PWX? And I said, of course, you know, why not? And, you know, I had some tough, you know, tough opponents in that thing. You had Zuka King, who's now the APW Chester heavyweight champion, Devin Cruz, who's one of the, you know, awesome young up and coming talent.
Sean Legacy from our hometown.
Sean Legacy, a lot of his fans were really sour with me. Yeah, I might want to get your blood pressure checked because too much salt will hurt you. And at first, man, when that poll first opened, Sean Legacy took off like a rocket. And I was like, holy crap, I'm not getting nothing. Better luck next time. And then I was like, you know what? I can't lose faith in the people that have not lost faith in me. And slowly but surely, you know, it built itself up. And, you know, I passed Sean, and then I way past Sean. And, you know, they had that write-in vote, which kind of had me nervous because I was like, oh man, I'm going to get beat by Hulk Hogan or something, the write-in vote. But, and then I believe it was a Friday, when the polls closed, and Patrick called me up and he said, hey man, just want to let you know you won. You know, glad to have you, you know, I'm happy you won. And went there and, you know, made my debut and, you know, got a good reaction from everybody. And, you know, next Friday on the 18th, I will be making my debut for PWX Pure, so, you know.
Very cool. That's good news.
Let me ask you something, because you and I had a conversation. I was one of those people asking you about PWX, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I think you made the comment, correct me if I'm wrong, you said, I'm not sure I'm what PWX is looking for or wanting or something along those lines.
Well, PWX has its style. It's, you know, fast-paced. I don't have the best cardio. I'm not in the best shape. My skills are in entertaining and storytelling and psychology. And, you know, they had a couple times where they had big guys in there, but, you know, they could, like guys like Jeff Cobb. I mean, that guy's a freak of nature. He's huge, he's built, he's jacked, and he can fly around like crazy. Right. It's because all the self-doubt I had in myself. I just felt that, you know, there was places for me in independent wrestling, but PWX was not one of them, because I couldn't hang with those guys because I didn't have any faith in myself. I didn't believe in myself. Then when I started having matches with guys like Ethan Case and James Drake, you know, and, you know, guys like Rob Killjoy and everything, they brought things out of me, and then people actually started noticing me and noticing that I could hang with guys like that. And it was just a matter of time and, a matter of an opportunity. And when that fan vote came along, I took it and ran with it.
So let me ask you then, obviously the normal way that I know that people get booked is promoter finds out about someone, maybe they watch their YouTube tape, maybe another wrestler comes and says, hey, I got this other guy that works really well and things like that. But for the fans to choose you, and like you said, you had so many votes. How special did that feel to make it? I mean, because what you said, your business is entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly you're doing that well enough for, I mean, you had hundreds of votes.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 20 to 18 or something, it was hundreds. So how does that make you feel to kind of, and we're talking about PWX Pure, to go in a more pure way for your debut? Was that special or?
Oh, it's always special, especially when you get recognized like that. There's many different ways guys get booked. A lot of times showing up early, helping people set up the ring. They see that you're dedicated and everything. Contacting promoters, sending them,
Sure.
footage of yourself and everything. Word of mouth, of course, is always great. And for a long time, I would, every show I could get on, I would get on it, no matter how big, how small, because you never know. You could work a show that has like 35 people in the crowd, and there's somebody there that you didn't know about that has a show or knows somebody that has a show. And you always say you go out there and work, whether there's 10 people or 10,000 people, you work hard because those 10 people that paid to see you want to see a good show. They paid their hard-earned money. You got to give them a show. If you go out there and you drag butt, then that guy's going to see you and be like, this guy, he's not what we're looking for. You go out there and tear it up in front of 10 people like you're sitting in Madison Square Garden. He's going to be like, wow, we draw way more people than this. Imagine what it'll do for us.
Right.
But no, when the fans, when I saw the amount of votes that I got, it made me proud because, you kind of forget how much of a lasting impression sometimes you make on people. And it's when times like that come around that you're like, they step up and go above and beyond and show you their appreciation and help you achieve, things that you've been wanting.
And I was there. You had one of the biggest pops of the night. We were talking about it on the way up here. Ethan's surprise in the Battlefield X, your debut, and I can't remember what the other one was, but y'all.
Zane Riley.
Probably Zane, his surprise too.
Zane Riley was, oh my God, people want
But
to
yeah, you had one of the biggest pops, and again, that payoff was definitely there because you went out there and you had a great match.
Yeah, there's a few people I know that sit in the front row, the weak guys they're called, that no matter what you do, they
Keyboard
scream weak.
warriors? Is that
Yeah, I kind of wish I had more time in the match because I would have loved to slid outside and just got in their face and scared the crap out of them. But yeah, it was a good match. Me, Mason Miles, Ian Maxwell, and Mr. Sleaze, and we went out there and I'll tell you that night, the pop, the appreciation from everybody come up to me, tell me good job and congratulations. But the thing that stood out the most for me was Brutal Bob Evans and Kevin Kelly both came up to me and told me I did an excellent job and that they're very big fans of mine.
Nice.
Very cool.
Kevin Kelly, who's worked for the WWE, and Brutal Bob Evans, who's one of the most respected trainers out there,
Real.
coming up to you and saying that they're very big fans of yours, that right there is just like,
Was it surreal a little bit?
it's surreal because you see those guys and they see thousands and thousands of guys every weekend, and
Yeah.
for you to leave an impression in their mind to where they become fans of yours, it basically it solidifies that you've done something right.
Yeah, it was a special moment though. I mean, there's no doubt.
No, I'm actually happy I was wearing the mask when I came out because I was cheesing like crazy. When I came through that curtain and that place exploded, I was smiling like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So I know you've had some health issues recently. I know you've been to 2 different hospital visits and surgery between those, I think. Share as much or as little as you want to, but not want to pry too much. But so what's going on with that?
Well, people may not know, but I am a diabetic. So if anything happens wrong in my body, what would be normal for somebody is times 1,000 for me. So I had, something that got infected, and it wasn't like I wasn't taking care of myself. I shower every day. I'm a very clean person, even though I'm big. It just so happened that my body didn't like what was happening and decided to turn it up to 1,000. I had ended up being hospitalized after the last Castle show that we had. He was there. You could tell I shouldn't have wrestled. Let's put it that way. It probably made it a lot worse, me getting in that ring. My stupidity and my dedication to this business, my love of this business, overshadowed my health, and I did it anyways. I actually went home that night, drove 2.5 hours home with 102.5 fever. Couldn't go to the doctor that night because I was so delirious from the fever that I couldn't drive. And I went that morning. They admitted me, and I spent a month and a half in the hospital. The last 2 weeks, though, they found a spot that they had to do surgery on to clean it up, and which sucked. I've never had surgery before, never been put under. I've always been one of those, I hate doctors. I still hate doctors, but yeah, and then I was all ready to get out. I had to spend 2 weeks at home, not doing anything. And anybody knows I've done 12 years of nonstop, shows. So it was like, it was killing me. And then I was supposed to do the South Carolina Strawberry Festival last weekend. And I ended up, apparently not all the infection was got, and it started coming back. I took something that somebody was like, hey, this might help. And I took it, and I ended up having an allergic reaction to it. Yeah, which, come to find out, was a lot worse than what it was. So I got rushed in an ambulance to the hospital again. Luckily, I only had to spend, like 2 or 3 days in the hospital then, but I got a clean bill of health. Everything's cleared up. I'm feeling great. They got me on the right stuff, and, I'm ready to tear it up, ready to get back at it. I mean, I don't know how much longer my body's going to allow me to do this. I know most guys are like, oh, you've only been in it 12 years. It's like, no, but I've been in it 12 hard years, and I've done stupid stuff. I've done death matches, hardcore matches, taking bumps on concrete, the amount of chair shots, I've taken. It's just, after a while, your body can, the deathmatch god Masada said it best, your body can only handle so many car wrecks before it starts wanting to shut down. And
I've heard it called a punch card.
Oh, my knees, I developed arthritis. I'm only 37 years old. I stopped, so you started forgetting stuff, so I stopped getting hit in the head with chairs. Sooner or later your body's just like, I'm done. You keep making me do this and you're gonna pay, and you gotta be smart with it too, because you don't wanna go past that and end up injuring yourself and, inhibiting yourself from being able to be a productive member of society. You don't want to end up in a wheelchair or worse.
Right. Yeah, and we got to that show super early, and I remember coming over there and talking to you, and I could tell I thought something was bothering you. I thought it was, you were mad at someone or something else, and you started telling me, and I'm like, well, what are you doing here? But you said, hey, I got a match.
I would have been able to give notice, but I was like, oh, man, I can do it. I just, I kind of like, all right, if I can make it down there, I'll be good. If I can make it till bell time, all right, good. We were doing a 6-man tag, so I didn't think I had to do much, and I was wrong. And yeah, that was a really bad night. I didn't even get dressed afterwards. I drove home in my gear. Yeah, it was bad. If you have something wrong with you, be smart. Don't be me. Your health comes first. I mean, I have a regular job, and I've got bills, and I got to have that job to be able to live the dream that I do every weekend, and I wasn't able to do either one of them. So if I'd have been smarter than that, it probably wouldn't have gotten that bad. But you live and you learn.
That actually transitions to my next question. So, what is your regular job?
I deliver car parts for Keystone Automotive out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been doing that for 8 years. For 5 years before that, I worked for Axo Nobel, which is kind of like Keystone, but we just delivered paint products and body shop supplies. But we don't work weekends, so.
That's nice. So you spend a lot of time in the car, you listen to music or podcasts? What do you do
I watch anything and everything. I've been here lately, this past week, I've been doing documentaries. Any type of documentaries I can find on professional wrestling, indie wrestling. I finally got to watch the George South one they did on WrestleCade, and I loved it because, I have the utmost respect for George South. And I I never had George mad at me, so I'm happy. In 12 years in this wrestling business, I've never had George South mad at me, so I'm happy. I love podcasts. I love Cole Cabana's Art of Wrestling. I've listened to every single thing he's got. Jericho's got a good one. I like more of the independent ones, though. I don't really like the commercialized ones. But of course, you can listen to Stone Cold's podcast all day long. You just wish they wouldn't hold him back, and be watered down Stone Cold. You wish he'd just go off and go crazy. But yeah, anything and everything I can watch that has to do with learning and perfecting this sport we call wrestling, I jump at the chance at it. I've got so many different DVDs. Of course, I was a Kevin Steen mark. Still am Kevin Owens. I have folders and folders of, sorry bootleg, sorry Kevin. But I had a guy that would burn me everything from PWG to Ring of Honor to Japan to, his European stuff. And I love watching it because you can also take stuff that they do, and I'm not exactly rip it off. You can incorporate it and change it and tweak it into your style, put your own little niche on it, and hey, you got a new move.
And nothing's original anymore. Everything's borrowed. Everything's been done before.
Everything is. Everything
like
is.
a figure and twist on it in many years. So. I know you like playing video games. You're a gamer.
Well, I was a gamer. I try so much now. It's just, I don't know if it's from all the chair shots or as many times I've hit my head. My concentration is not what it used to be. I used to be able to come home from work and get on, when like Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty, love it. Get on there and game till I look at the clock. It'd be 4 o'clock in the morning. Like crap, I gotta get up for work in the morning. I used to love them, and I try to now, and it's just so hard. It's like I'll get on there, and a lot of times because you just don't want to hear the mouths of people on there.
Oh, sure.
Back in the day, it used to be, you try to help each other cooperate and everything. Now it's just, oh, you suck, you're a noob, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm trying to find an address for some 14-year-old kid so I can go over there and choke his dad. And, it's just so hard. And that you got to have your reflexes have to be so in tune to be a gamer nowadays. It's just like, I'm sitting there and, it's like how you used to be with your parents back in the day when you asked them to play with you. You're on Super Mario and you're sitting there for 20, 30 minutes going through the game. Finally you die, your mom gets on there and 2 seconds later it's back to you. That's how I feel nowadays. It's like I get on there with, my friends' kids and stuff, and I'm over here like, oh man, I'm doing awesome, and then they're just kicking my butt, and I'm just like, all right, you guys can go at it, and I'm done. I'm gonna go watch TV.
So you're a PS4 guy or Xbox guy?
I was always an Xbox guy because before PS4, you remember it used to take so long to load. Everything, their load screens were just ridiculous, and Xbox wasn't like that. Of course, you had different titles that you like to play that were exclusive to certain consoles, but now they're switching over, and now they're even making it to where they're almost ready to release where you can play Xbox, the 360 and PS4 on the same, you can be in the same game lobbies and everything. So PS4 now is blowing Xbox 360 or Xbox One, whatever you want to call it, out of the water. Of course, I won. Did a Twitter thing. I follow a lot of gamers I did on Twitter, and they were doing a contest, and I entered into it, and all of a sudden the guy hit me up and he was like, hey, they were doing a thing where you can either get a Switch, an Xbox One, a PS4, or one other thing, and he was like, hey, you won. Got good news and bad news. Good news is you won. Bad news is the only thing we have left is PS4. So that's fine, and then they gave you a gift card where you can get 2 free games and everything. But I ended up actually giving that thing away to one of my friends' kids for their for Christmas, because they had it at their dad's house, but at their mom's house they didn't have one, so I gave it to them because they were going to put more use to it. Now anytime you go over there, it's Fortnite this, Fortnite that.
You want to share your gamer handle with anybody?
Well, actually, I don't even think I have any. It was Big Country 1980, which is 1980, the year I was born. Actually, it was the Big Country, and then I actually had a few wrestlers. Xavier Woods, I actually had him on my friends list. I actually played a few games with him and everything, but I haven't touched it in a long time. I still get notifications because the PlayStation Network still has my name logged into it. So anytime I do anything on there, it always bangs up on my phone.
We're going to move to our next segment. It's called the hot tag. It's kind of not necessarily one word association, but just kind of short answer. Give a few words about this guy, kind of Twitter responses, so to speak. So I'm going to bring up this name, James Drake.
Dude, I have so much respect for James. I've known James ever since I started. From where James was to where he is now is leaps and bounds. And I don't want to, sound cliche, but I am so proud of that guy. He has clawed and fought and gone through every, knocked down every stereotypical wall that people put up and proved everybody wrong. And I don't think it's going to be much longer before we finally see him on NXT and eventually, up on the main roster in WWE.
Like to see that. You mentioned him earlier, Shay McGrady.
I love Shay. God, if you can't not love Shay,
Yeah.
it's like ice cream. Even when it's bad, it's good. I love Shay. I first met Shay McGrady in American Pro Wrestling in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I watched him try to give a guy named Dylan Dollar, who was probably 300 plus. You know the Code Red bomb where you jump off like a sunset flip and flip him around and it's almost like a power bomb.
Yeah.
And the guy almost killed Shay because everybody knows Shay. My shoes weigh more than Shay McGrady.
He almost dies every match, I think. So
The crazy part about it is the craziest bumps that kid has taken. And I heard it because I wasn't there, but I heard it was just something simple at Pure, and his ankle got messed up. I mean, you remember that wheelbarrow German that he took from Michael Mosley?
Mhm.
You'd think the kid was rubber because
Right.
I mean, a normal kid, people like that would have destroyed them.
Shay just like, nah, and he's always genuine. The kid's full of love, full of so much awesomeness. I hate that I mean, I've been out for 2 months. Shay's gonna be out 7 months at the
Wow.
earliest, and that would kill me because that kid loves wrestling. He loves it so much. But he's so talented. Him and Will, I mean, high profile is like so hot.
yeah.
I mean, they're so on with the whole Waffle House gimmick and everything, and I just hate the fact that had to happen to him.
Next on the list, we talked about him earlier, Father Darkness, Art Long.
Like I said, one of my best friends in this business. The guy would give his shirt off his back for you. He's so genuine. There's very few people I can say in this business that haven't had their own agenda, and his agenda was to make you better and to put you over. Never himself. He didn't care about himself. He cared about putting you over. I'm gonna help him out a little bit on a plug. He does what are those things called? Escape rooms in Greenville, South Carolina. So.
Okay.
Go see Father Darkness at Greenville Escape Room. I've been a lot of times. It's actually really awesome. You ever done an escape room?
I have not, no.
Oh,
My daughter wants to do one badly, but...
Think about the most frustrating situation you've ever had in your life.
Mhm.
Ain't nothing compared to when you get locked inside
Really?
those doors and you're trying to figure out all those puzzles and trying to get out of there.
Mhm.
Oh man, you could be in there with your best friend and you want to rip their throat out by the end of it.
All right, next person, from one manager to another, Jack Bismarck.
Jack Bismarck, like I said, so proud of the kid. He took a bad situation and turned it into something positive. He, like I said, he wanted to be a wrestler. He found out he couldn't, and that didn't stop him. I mean, he's always here helping set up the ring. He's always wanted to learn. He's got a really bright future in this business. And as long as I'm doing this, I will make sure that I help him in any way I can. And if he's at a venue that I'm on, I'm going to politic my way into making sure he's my manager.
Very good. And finally, your opponent for tonight for that title on your shoulder, James Johnson. Sorry, James.
James Johnson, another one, just like Kevin Ray, both trained by Ethan Case, found a gimmick. The lone wolf thing, like my original Big Country gimmick. It was something that he did when he started. He found out that it wasn't him, found his niche, found the tie-dye sunrise, and made it work for him.
Mm-hmm.
The bad part about it is that tonight he's going to have to face me, and he knows firsthand what I'm capable of. He knows firsthand the damage that I can do. It's not the first time I faced him. And I'll tell you this, I have an undefeated record against him, and there's a reason for that. James Johnson is awesome, but he's not me. Most people, they commit assaults with guns, knives. I use these. I step in that ring. You could be my best friend, my brother, it doesn't matter. Inside that ring, it's business. James, tonight is business. You say you have a dream. I hate to tell you this, but I'm gonna have to kill it. Because killing your dream means that I stay as PCW heavyweight champion, and that's the way it's going to be for a long time. You know, everybody wanted to have misconceptions against me, just like James Drake said, don't let the physique fool you. I may not be able to fly around that ring like crazy, I may not be able to do flips, but when I hit you, you know it, and when I put you down, you stay down. So tonight, unfortunately, it ain't gonna be tie-dye sunrise, it's gonna be sunset on James Johnson's dreams.
Wow.
Nice.
Good promo. All right. Next is our over top rope question. You want to give it out, Joe? Or you want
Yeah,
me to?
so our over the top rope question comes from our previous guest. I think you know our previous guest was Drew Adler.
Oh yeah, top tier.
Top tier. And Mr. Top Tier wants to know, when was the last time you cried during a movie? What movie would that have been?
I'll tell you, I hate to admit this because you know we're all supposed to be big tough guys. I can watch people get destroyed and not bat an eye. But you harm an animal, well, dogs. If you harm a dog, yeah, cats, I really give a crap about. They were just made to give dogs exercise.
Cats are jerks.
Cats are.
He's a cat guy for some reason. He likes.
If you get a cat that'll act like a dog, it's the greatest thing ever. But well, you watch videos when people come home. You could leave for 2 minutes, you come home, that dog is happy to see you. You could be gone for 5 years, you come home, that cat's just wondering where his food's at. But the last time I cried during a movie, I actually, man, that's a good question. I watch a lot of movies. I watch too much TV. I know the only time I cried like big, yeah, there was a movie back in the day called Benji the Hunted. You remember that one where he was in the mountains with the little mountain lions?
I remember Benji.
Yeah, it was. He got rescued and rescued the mountain. It was just a certain thing before I realized that tough guys don't cry. I was bawling. And they were like, oh, let's watch a movie. Oh, I remember one, Marley and Me.
Yeah.
And because nobody warned me about Marley, spoiler alert, passing away at the end. And like I said, you harm a dog, I might commit murder. But yeah, I think that was the last time because the dog, its stomach got turned and it passed away and everything. Turner and Hooch is another bad one. I hated that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it.
Dogs are your weakness.
Dogs are my
Got it
weakness.
now.
I am a dog lover. The hardest day in my life, I had a boxer named Jester. And for 9 years, through my failed marriage, through all the hard times, through all the bad times, through all the good times, he was always there. And he didn't want anything from me. He didn't cheat on me. He didn't want money from me. He didn't, all he wanted was to love me and for me to love him. And, he was like, I hate to say it, he was like my kid. And he developed seizures, and which a lot of bully breeds, it doesn't even have to be a reason. They just, for some reason, all of a sudden will develop, can develop seizures. And it was just so bad that, they said that they could do a $15,000 surgery on him, but that there was no guarantee. And with as bad as it was, it probably wouldn't even work. Worst day of my life was when I had to make the decision to put him down because, and that's the last time I cried hard. Like, it was bad because I love that dog and I miss him so much. Now I look like a big puss, but I don't care. I love dogs.
So we're going to move into the 10 count, and I'm going to give the first 5, and Nate's going to give the final 5 here. And the 10 count is questions that we draw on that we can ask just about anybody. We may alter them a little bit from person to person, and we also ask people that watch the show to send in questions as well. Number 1 on the 10 count is pick a superpower.
Superpower would be healing factor, of course. You can fly. You can, run fast, but, you can still die. But if you have like Wolverine's healing factor or even Deadpool, no matter what, sickness, you get hurt, you get blown up, as long as there's a cell left in your body, you can regenerate, so.
And you could not have a 2-week-long hospital stay.
Exactly, or hospital bills.
All right.
Move to Canada.
Number 2, and I think we've discussed this, and I know the answer. Who is the GOAT? Who is the greatest of all time?
In my eyes, well,
yeah, your
when,
opinion.
when I first started enjoying wrestling, Shawn Michaels, one of the best workers, one of the best sellers, psychology, storyteller. He made you believe in him so much. Now, since I've met him, I kind of put him and Ricky Morton in the same. Okay. 2 of the best baby faces, best sellers, best everything. Those 2 are just phenomenal.
Gotcha.
Jesus. All right.
Number 3 on the 10 count. We mentioned you listening to podcasts, but let's assume you're on a road trip and you're listening to music. What you got on the playlist?
Oh, I'm an open book when it comes to music. I go from country to rap to rock to R&B to metal, alternative. On the way down here, I actually threw on some ICP. I haven't listened to them in a while. I was a big Twisted ICP fan back in the day. 3 Days Grace, love them. I even listened to some Christian rock and everything because you may not. I love listening to the sounds. You could have a song that you really don't care about the lyrics, but just the beat and the everything that comes along with it just makes you feel good. I'm a cornucopia of different genres of music.
Gotcha. All right, number 4. We mentioned our previous guest was Drew Adler. So this is what we call the envy question. If you could take one thing of Drew Adler's and make it yours, it could be his gimmick, his moveset, his real job, his car, anything that you chose would be yours.
Just physique.
Physique. Kind of easy one with that guy, right?
I've got his physique. It's just under all this.
Right. Yeah, Drew's definitely top tier. Number 5, did you ever play any sports, high school or otherwise?
I did. I was real big. When I was a kid, I was always a big kid, but I played baseball, of course, t-ball, baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I played football in high school, but I moved down here my last year of high school to Rock Hill, and the coach told me that unless something seriously happened to one of his players, I was going to ride the bench, and I couldn't do that, so I just concentrated on schoolwork. And but I've always been athletic. I've always played sports, any type of sports, golf. I'll try any type of sport there is.
Cool. All right.
Number 6. So always like cookout because it's a pretty unique place as far as offering some meat sides. What is your typical cookout order?
Well, here lately I've had to change my diet up very drastically because the diabetes and everything. But if I go to cookout, it's a big double burger combo with only mayonnaise, a bacon ranch wrap and a chicken ranch wrap, and then a water.
It comes with a free drink,
Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, for the past 6 months, I've drank nothing but water.
Okay.
Nice.
I haven't drinking any caffeine, any sodas, anything like that. So
Gotcha. That's good.
it just makes you feel better, cleans your body out.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Cody Fluffman. It's Tracer X has a cereal box, and Wheaties has always been known for having athletes on their box covers, on the cereal box covers. If you could be on a cereal box, what would it be? Pick your own cereal box to be on.
Well, before I became a diabetic, actually, I like the healthy cereals. I like the shredded wheat. I liked Raisin Bran was one of my favorite ones. Chex, stuff like that. I never really liked the exotic ones like the Lucky Charms and the Reese's Puffs and all that stuff. It's just overpowering, especially like Cocoa Puffs. Because too much chocolate is. So I know it sounds
You
weird.
can't have too much chocolate.
Well, I don't know.
For a diabetic.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'd probably say like Raisin Bran or something like that.
Okay.
I know it sounds boring.
Southern Punisher on Raisin Bran. I can see it.
Yeah, with the 2 scoops,
Oh, there you go.
Hey, nice.
punch in the sun,
Let's make it happen after you suck inside the hand. All right. Dream match, dead and alive. Who would you go against?
I would have loved to have been able to step in the ring with Bam Bam Bigelow, because he was one of the guys. That guy would do a cartwheel and people would just go ape. He was just he was a legit tough guy, But of course, I would love to go back in the day and get in the ring with like Jerry Blackwell. People don't realize this, that Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody, you guys thought these guys were the ultimate tough guys. These guys were afraid of Jerry Blackwell because Jerry Blackwell beat the piss out of you in that ring. Like, you didn't wrestle, you fought.
Nice.
But yeah, I would love, Shawn Michaels, of course. I'd love to get in there with him because I think we could have a classic, big guy, little guy match. Vader, as stiff as everybody says he is, I'd still love to get in the ring with that guy. Yeah, I think those would probably be my top ones.
So speaking of really fighting, if you got to challenge 3 guys in a street fight, and you got to pick 2 indie wrestlers to go out there and have your back and help you out, who would those 2 indie wrestlers be?
James Drake, because I don't think you can hurt that guy. James Drake and Jeff Cobb, because both of those guys are just like I wouldn't have to worry about it. I know that my back would be watched, and they'd probably end up destroying the guy I'm whooping. So.
All right, here's our what we call the genie in the bottle question. If you could change one thing about pro wrestling, what would it be?
But the misconception that you have to look a certain way. If you have a dream, people should always be able to achieve that dream and to go for that dream without having people, talk down to them and make them feel like their dream is stupid or that they don't look the right part to achieve that dream. Dreams are dreams for a reason. And if I had listened to everybody that told me, "Oh, you're too fat," you're not the quintessential wrestler, I wouldn't have been doing this as long as I have. I think that it's selfish for you to tell somebody that they're not a certain way to achieve their dream. I think that you worry about yourself, look inside yourself, because most of the people that try to tell other people that they're not good enough or they're not the right person or the right way usually can look inside themselves, and there's a lot wrong with them too. So. Just let people try. Let people, if they want to achieve their dream, let them achieve it however they feel they need to. You don't have to. Everybody nowadays has to have an opinion about something. You can't say anything without somebody. Oh no, that's wrong. Mm-hmm. Just shut up. Worry about yourself. This world will be a lot better place.
Mm-hmm. Let people enjoy things.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, well, that wraps up our interview. Give you a chance to plug your stuff. How can people get in touch with you? Facebook, social media.
I used to have Twitter, but it got annoying, so I deleted it.
Speaking of opinions,
you can, you can get me on Facebook, Robert Big Country Ordway, or The Big Country is my fan page. That's basically the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'd give you my phone number, but I'm not going to.
Are you still with Collar and Elbow?
No.
Okay.
I love Al Snow. I got to meet him at the Strawberry Festival, got to talk to him. Awesome guy. Love if you get a chance to watch any of his training seminars online, do it, because he tells you about why you shouldn't punch and all that stuff. It's such little things that you think don't matter.
Makes you think.
Yeah. I wanted to get on board. It's just that I felt that they had the core group of wrestlers that they wanted to support and promote, and I was not one of them. So, I hope all the luck with them. Al Snow just bought OVW. And I wish him all the best in that. I just don't feel that Collar and Elbow was right for me.
Okay. You're actually the first person I saw that posted a thing about it.
I promoted the piss out of them. Everything I had, I hashtagged them, shared it, had all their stuff on my gimmick table and everything. It's just that a lot of other workers were getting promoted, and they weren't really doing that much promoting of the company themselves. So I just felt that it might be right for some people. Let's just say for me.
Okay. You got some cool T-shirt designs.
Yeah, that's I call that my Negan inspired T-shirts.
And Joe's got one of the hats on right now.
Yeah, a lot different from the last ones. It's kind of the design is Bullet Club, but it's my design. It's with Negan inspired with barbed wire bats. Mm-hmm. I've got T-shirts, I got cups, I got hats, I got decals, I got 8x10s. I've got bracelets. I've got everything. So if you see me at a show or you want to hit me up, you can get in touch with me. You can pay me through PayPal. I'll ship whatever you want to you. Because you don't just go out there and entertain. You got to have if you don't have gimmicks, then people can't promote for you. So
Right.
That's right. So your social media. Ours is at suplexes&mics on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Our YouTube channel, go there and subscribe. That's tinyurl.com/suplexes&mics. So yeah, we've really enjoyed having you on the show with us.
Oh, I'm glad we finally got to do this. And if you're not watching Suplexes and Microphones, I'm going to make George South put you in the idiot bag.
You send us home, Joe?
Well, that's it. Episode 17.
Yeah.
We're all done, and we'll see you guys soon on the next one. Thanks to Palmetto Championship Wrestling for hosting us and having us. Current heavyweight champion is with us, and we're glad to have him on the show. Thanks a lot, guys.
1,